Well, let's jump from that ACC to the aforementioned Pac-12, where we have a ranked matchup here, Kelly. We have number 10 Utah on the road at number 19 Oregon State. The Beavers are now 3.5-point home favorites, and this game carries an over-under of just 44.5 points. This game kicks off Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, so you can get in your high school Friday night light watching and then come home, cozy up, get a hot chocolate, and watch this game here on FS1. Early in the week, it still appears that the market doesn't believe that Cam Rising is ready to play. You know what? I kind of buy into that. The line has moved off a number that was around a pick 'em, -1. Now it's -3.5. I know that there's a lot of speculation whether, is Cam Rising coming back? Is he playing? Is he not? Kelly, Utah goes into a bye week next week. Why, at this point in the season, with how well that you're playing, why would you jam him in if he's not completely 100% ready? You have an extra 2 weeks now at your disposal to be able to get him ready when you come back, and you still have some of the big guys that you're playing on your schedule ahead of you. It just makes sense to me. I have no information on this whatsoever, but at this point, I would just hold him out, return him post-bye week against Cal, ease him in that way before you hit the real meat of your schedule. And like I said, the team is operating really well without him anyway. Like they're playing well. It's Kyle Whittingham is just an absolute masterclass in how to coach. Like coaching 101 clinic is going on right now in Salt Lake City. And Utah just dominated Dante Moore and UCLA. Absolutely dominated them. They sacked Moore 7 times. That actually led to a very funny box score of 32 rushes for 9 total yards. I actually had to go back and look at that to make sure it wasn't 9 rushing attempts for 32 yards. No, 32 rushing attempts for 9 total yards. But college football, please stop factoring sacks into rushing. That's so dumb.
It's bad. Yeah, you have to like manually filter that out when you're doing your predictive stuff.
Right, which I did. And you know, I just removed all of Dante Moore's rushes and all. I know he had 3 non-sacks, whatever. But either way, the running backs carried the balls for 60 yards on 22 carries. So we're still talking about an absolute lockdown job from Utah there. UCLA had to sub their left tackle out. He had a 0 pass blocking grade for that game. He allowed, get this, a pressure or committed a penalty on 5 of his 9 pass sets before they yanked him and put somebody else in there. Oregon State, they have an excellent offensive line, but the weakest link is that left tackle. We've seen it already cause issues for other teams, but they still have not allowed pressures on 38 pass snaps. They didn't allow 1 last week on DJU. I almost lost his name there. Damian Martinez, though, their star running back. This is where the offense runs through. He's the 4th highest average on carries, 7.4 yards per attempt. That's 4th highest among minimum 50 rushes. 61% of his yards come on breakaway runs. He's an extremely explosive athlete. Very, very good at finding small little creases. This, to me, he looks like an NFL back to me, the way that he scans the field and be able to just see the smallest crease and boom, hits that and gets his yardage. But can he find a crease against this Utah defense? I don't know, man. UCLA wasn't able to, and they have one of the better running games in the country. So we'll definitely find out.
We will find out. This is an intriguing game for me. I usually like when college football games are on Saturday. I don't mind this one being pulled out in its own window on a Friday night. Like I want to give this game its due attention and have it on the main screen. So I'm happy we can do that on a weeknight here. I have Oregon State -1.5. It's a 55% win expectancy for the Beavers. This game should be awesome. Like I said, it's interesting to me because from a power rating standpoint, these teams are almost mirrors of one another. They're almost 180s. Oregon State began the year power rated number 24 with a better projected defense at number 26 than offense at number 35. After a 3-1 start, which has seen the Beavers outscore their opponents by 3.3 points per game more than would be expected of the average top 25 FBS team against their schedule, Oregon State's power rating is up more than 2.5 points. And now it's the offense at number 14 that is performing better than the defense, number 34. So that's flipped from the preseason. Conversely, for Utah, they entered the year power rated number 15 with a better projected offense at number 12 than defense number 22. So different, exact opposite of what Oregon State was in the preseason. Now the Utes are 4-0. They're ranked number 4 in my most deserving rankings. There's only a 38% chance that the average top 25 FBS team would be 4-0 against Utah's schedule. But it's the defense that's now number 5 is the better ranked of the 2 units with the Cam Rising list offense down to number 52. So again, these teams came into the year projecting to be better on one side of the ball, and it was different for the two of them, and now they've totally switched as to what their actual strength is as we started putting in this in-season data. That, to me, is just interesting. We don't always see that, especially, this far into the year. I mean, we're getting close to halfway through this season already. These two teams are number 21 and number 22 in my power ratings. The winner will have the fourth best odds to make it to Las Vegas, all else equal by my numbers. So it's going to be close. It's going to be exciting. I agree with you. I don't think Cam Rising should play unless he's 100%, given that the bye is coming up. And this is not disrespect to Oregon State, because they are a good team. They're a sleeper team. That sleeper status got a little bit of a ding with the loss against Washington State last week. But if I'm Utah, you lose this game to Oregon State. Okay, now you're both 1-1. You've lost the tiebreak here. But you've got bigger, more projected quality opponents coming up. Again, no disrespect to Oregon State. They're currently number 22 in my power ratings. That's really good. But when you're Utah and you're looking, I got on the road to USC in a couple weeks. I got home to Oregon in a couple weeks. I got on the road at Washington in a couple weeks. All those are top 10 teams. So I want Cam Rising to be in the best position to be fully healthy for those games. And if that means not playing here, then getting the bye or getting your off week, and then welcoming Cal to town again, maybe he doesn't even need to play there unless he's ready, and then get him some snaps before USC, the road trip to USC in week 8. So bottom line, I have Oregon State minus 1.5, 45% chance Utah gets the win and heads into their off week at 5-0. I mentioned the winner of this game is going to have the fourth best chances to make it to Las Vegas by my numbers. Currently, that's Utah at 11%. If they win, it goes up to 18%. If they lose, it drops to a 6% chance, which is fifth best. And you say, well, Kelly, you just said this isn't the end of the world if they lose it. Well, because that schedule's so difficult coming up, that's why it's just a 6% chance, because my model's looking at this saying you're going to be a multi-score underdog projected right now against all those teams I previously mentioned, USC, Oregon, Washington. Now, if Cam Rising's back, that's probably not the case. You're still an underdog, but maybe not by that much. So you need to get him healthy. For Oregon State, currently a 3% chance to make it to Las Vegas. That's seventh best in the conference. If they win, it's up to 7%. If they lose, it drops to less than 1%. So Oregon State, they were a sleeper pick, a dark horse pick for a lot of teams because that schedule in conference sets up pretty nicely. You're already 0-1. If you drop this one, you really don't like their chances because they still have games against UCLA, Washington, and Oregon, among others, on the schedule. And with 2 losses in the bank, it's not looking good if they lose this one. So both teams want this one. Oregon State needs it probably. And Utah, they got to get Cam Rising healthy.
Yeah, you mentioned that Oregon State's defense has not lived up to expectation. I think that's because their pass rush just hasn't lived up to expectation. I haven't really been that impressed with it. 8 of their 9 primary guys on pass rushes with at least 20 pass rush snaps, they have a less than 10% win rate. That means they are not winning at the line of scrimmage. That's not a scheme thing. That's a mono-y-mono thing, and they're just really not getting it done like a lot of the other teams in the Pac-12 are. And, here's their opponents: San Jose State, UC Davis, San Diego State, Wazoo. It's not exactly this murderer's row of offensive lines. They're serviceable, certainly, but these are opponents that Oregon State's defensive front really should be doing better against. And, that's hurting the rest of them. But I have to break this out when I have the opportunity to. Jonathan Smith, 60% against the spread in his career. He's just 1-2 this year, but this is a 6-year sample size. Jonathan Smith is just a cover machine. Again, overperforming expectations. That's the name of the game. With Air Force, Troy Calhoun, Oregon State, these are these teams that consistently perform at or over expectation. Very rarely are they letting you down very much.